Hey, it's Spence from LaunchFlows.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use WPForms as an alternative way to onboard somebody as a registered, logged in user and putting them into your sales funnel. Now, the reason that I'm showing an alternative is that there are times when you might want to bring in the power available in a form builder like WPForms. The native way of registering a user as a new customer in LaunchFlows is super slick, easy, and allows you a lot of cool things. But undeniably, as you'll see, having a full-fledged form builder can be advantageous. So if that's you, let's get started. I'm going to close me out of the window here so we can see what's going on. And let's go over here. First of all, WPForms is available. It's a product that's been around for a while, and it's run by the same team that has been doing this since the beginning of WordPress, but it's undergone some new changes. So one of the things I like about this is it's a fully matured product. It's got just about everything you need, and most of the kind of bugs or new things are worked out of it. Pricing is reasonable. It's a little pricier than some of the other comparable products at $199 for a Pro, but they're all within about the same range. For the similar number of licenses and features, you're going to spend anywhere at the low end, $59, $60, up to the high end, maybe $250. Either way, it's a competent product run by a great team, so it's worth examining here. When we take the Pro plugin and install it, we'll be given a new tab area here called WPForms. And if you're not familiar with how to install a WordPress plugin at this point, please go refer to that somewhere else. It's very simple. Just download the plugin, upload it, or use it from your repository for the free version if you want to try it out. The Pro version gives you some options here, including the ability to create an instant registration form. There are a multitude of other things you can do with it. I'm not going to cover them here because they're not really applicable to my expertise and they're just about the same features. Here, I've created a registration form. And to show you how I might do that, let's actually start from the beginning. I'm going to go back one. Let's close this. And here I would do add new. And I would be given what I was just showing you a second ago, which is select from a template. Here you could start from scratch, but because it's registration, I want to use the registration form so that it gives me some access to features I'll need to get somebody's field data for registering. What we can do here is make it possible to create a full-fledged form where the username is created, a password is created, and even collect additional form fields. I don't like to do that. I think that when you're registering and logging somebody in at the beginning of your sales funnel, it's important to take the minimal amount of information necessary until such time as you own them as a customer. So for this case, I'm going to actually delete the extra fields I don't need. I'm going to auto-generate the password, and I'm going to auto-generate the username from the email, which is a great way to do it even if you're using the native WooCommerce, because that's something that's usually going to be extremely unique to the person, and furthermore, something that you can use for other purposes, like having them validate that it's really them. I'm going to click on the field here for submit, and I'm going to change this to register now. I could have the anti-spam protection, but I'm not going to. But I will use the Ajax form submission just so that it feels like it's being submitted without having to refresh the page. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. That's all you really need to do for this part of it. Now, there's some other things you can set up. As the admin, you can be notified if you want about a new registration. In this case, I don't really need that because I'm going to get that anyway from my sales funnel processes. I will save this and move on to the next step of the confirmation. Now, this is actually quite useful. In this case, what I like to do is send somebody directly into the site after they've registered and auto-log them in. In doing so, this allows me to show them essentially the My Account dashboard where all the information is that displays what's important to them, as well as a place I could put a billboard. So here I'm going to say go to URL, and I'll put in the exact address for my website for the My Account area. If you wish, you could obviously choose showing a particular page and choose it from there. It would achieve the same result. I'll save this as well, move on to the next step. The reason I like to save it is because that makes sure that if in case I forget, I don't have to go back and change the settings again. We don't really need anything for post-submission, but the user registration option is definitely something we want to set up. Here, the username, we're not going to choose to use name. We're going to leave it as nothing because as instructed, this will make the email the default registration username, which is terrific. It saves the user time, saves you time, and it lets you validate who these people are in a way that you can use, such as emailing back to them in the future. Hey, what's up? Spence@something.com. You can set the name to the name if you want. It's important to put the password to auto-generate. That way you don't have to worry about them having to set up their own password. We've tested this and proven that this is the method that provides the best user experience as well as the best administrative outcome. People can always go back to their email, see what they were given by default, and go back and change their password. But even if they don't do that, remember, they're going to be auto-logged in anyway, so we can send them to the My Account area and tell them right there, please set the password as you wish. We don't need these other fields. We do want to send the email that contains the user information. That will say to you, hey, Spence, here's your username of the email you set up. Here's your initial password. That's helpful because people will inevitably see that after they're done with the registration at some point. We also send an email here to the admin, but I'm going to turn that off again because I don't really need to be notified of that. This option, Enable User Activation, would be for your use case in the event. And this is a good example of why you might want to use this option of WPForms instead of native registration. If you want to pre-approve somebody before they get access, but after they've registered, this option would allow you to have an activation confirmation page or to send them an email. Those are both good ways for you to validate that the person is who they say they are and that they've accomplished the act without them being a spam bot or a robot or something else. I don't like to do that here because in my case, when I'm registering you for a sales funnel, there's really not much you can do on the website anyway, other than see your My Account area. I'd rather you get in there and then use other methods. But this is a good option. If you turn it on, you can set these up. And then finally, if we wanted, we could collect extra user metadata at the time of registering. We're not going to bother with that. Finally, user activation confirmation page. Well, in this case, we don't need it. We're just going to keep it where it was. You could have it set to nothing. It wouldn't make a difference. I'm going to save this. Now, out of the box, this form will allow somebody to register, but in order to auto-log them in, we'll have to take an additional step. If you go to the WPForms site and you search, you can find a snippet that will allow you to auto-log people in. I'm going to show you that snippet, but you would search for WPForms auto login new registration, and you will see this link here that will give you the methods and the snippet you need. Now, I'm not going to go into coding here, but this would go either into your WP Snippets plugin, your child themes functions PHP, or otherwise work it out in some other kind of format that it's in the PHP methods of your site. This changes the login. Now, I will say, this, in my opinion, should be a ready-to-use feature of WPForms. I don't mean that as a direct criticism, but all the other Forms plugins have this as a checkbox option. It's my opinion that they should probably modify this and add it to the plugin at this point in 2021. Nevertheless, it's as simple as copying and pasting, following their tutorial. I've done that already. So in my case, let's just finish setting up the form itself. If you are using marketing automation, which again, I help a lot of you with, such as WPFusion, you could set up an automatic WPFusion feed so that not only will somebody be registered, but they'll also be added directly to your CRM of choice. In this case, I would call it something like WPFusion Feed, and then I could map whichever fields are available to me. There's not that many here because we're only using email and first and last name, but what I would do is this. I would map it to the email, and I would map the first name, and I would map the last name. Now, if you want, you can also map them to the billing first and last name. If you're using the setup that I recommend in LaunchFlows, that will accomplish the same goal. We have it set up typically where the billing fields first and last name are the same as the regular user first and last name. Finally, if you wanted, you could add a tag, something like free registration. This gives you the added benefit of knowing exactly which method somebody used for registering instead of being, let's say, onboarded through the actual purchase of a product or something else. And again, I'll save this. There are some options here that you don't need to use because this is a free registration, but technically you could collect money. I think in my case, I would not recommend you do this because we would recommend doing that through LaunchFlows with the with the WooCommerce product checkout. All right, so now I've got the basics set up and the fields are as I wish. There's lots of settings that I could use here in order to set this up more specifically with style and otherwise, but you can choose those here. For example, you can go into advanced options and change the CSS class, the style, the conditionals. All of this is very similar to what you would find with other form builders, including Gravity Forms. All right, now that we're done, what we can do is either embed this or put it on a page ourselves. I do like the fact that WPForms provides a convenient way to create a new page so you don't have to do it and then add the embed. I went ahead and did that already, and so let's go ahead and look at what I've set up. And I'm going to go back over to my admin dashboard, into the pages area. And here I've got WPForms registration page. And I use the classic editor, but you can use Gutenberg, it doesn't matter. This is the shortcode that puts it in place, and it gives you whatever parameters you set up on the embed. Let's take a look at this page and use it on the front end with an incognito registration. This is a new person, so it's not me, and I'll have the opportunity to, again, register, log them in, give them a tag, and take them to the My Account dashboard. So let's give it a try. Before I do, I forgot to show you. What I did with that snippet is I used a plugin called Snippets, or All Snippets. For WordPress. There's several plugins that do this, code snippets, post snippets, and so forth. Any one of them is fine, or you could just use your child theme. Here I actually copied and pasted that snippet and put it in place so that it would allow somebody to not only be registered into the site, but automatically logged in at the time they register. So follow those instructions, you'll get the similar result. And let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So here I'm going to add a new email, test123@labsecrets.com, test123, test123. When I click register, it's going to register me, log me in, take me to the My Account area, also give me the necessary tags synchronized to my CRM so that the owner of the site, me, will know what I've done. Lots of other things can follow, but in this case, if it's the beginning of your sales funnel, I might actually take them either to the actual thing I'm trying to sell them next, or I might modify my Account area to put something in here that displays, based upon the fact that they've done this registration, it says, welcome, here's the first thing I want you to do. I hope this helps you understand what you can do with the WPForms and LaunchFlows, WooCommerce, and more in order to make the onboarding to your sales funnel much more efficient and powerful. This is Spence. I'll see you on the next video.